The sky above the outpost was the color of ash. Thick gray clouds drifted slowly across the horizon, casting long shadows over the rusted buildings. Fires burned in the distance, where the Varnock had struck only days ago. Smoke curled into the air, rising from crushed towers and broken metal streets. The people were silent, worn down by fear and hunger. Alex Voss wiped the grease from his hands and stared at the comms tower he'd just repaired. The blinking green light meant it was working again, for now. He sat back, breathing hard, the weight of everything pressing on him. His jumpsuit was torn at the shoulder, stained with oil and ash. His brown eyes were tired, but focused. In a war like this, there was no time for rest. He glanced across the base. Children carried water buckets. A medic helped a wounded soldier walk. Everyone was holding on by a thread. Humanity was fading, one outpost at a time. Then the comm panel buzzed. Alex Voss, report to command deck immediately, a voice said. Priority Alpha. Alex frowned. He grabbed his toolkit, slung it over his shoulder, and started walking. The metal floor beneath his boots clanked with every step. The corridors were dim and narrow, lights flickering above. Soldiers stood at every corner, rifles in hand. He entered the command deck, a small room with a wide table in the center, maps and star charts glowing on its surface. 3 officers stood waiting, their faces grim. One of them stepped forward. Commander Rylas. He was tall, sharp-eyed, and always spoke like time was running out. Alex, Rylas said, we found it. Alex blinked. Found what? The Starling, the commander said. It's real, and it's still out there. Alex froze. He had heard the name before. Stories told in hushed tones, tales passed around among engineers and fighters. The Starling was a legend. An old warship from the First Galactic War. It had vanished after humanity's last stand and was never seen again. They say it's haunted, Alex said, half smiling. You believe in ghost ships now? I believe in desperate measures, Rylas replied. And this one might be our last. He tapped the table. A hologram flickered to life, showing a massive ship drifting near a dying red star on the galaxy's edge. Burn marks lined its hull. The engines were cold. No signals, no movement. But it was still intact. This ship, Rylas continued, carries an ancient weapon. One powerful enough to stop the Varnock. Maybe even end the war. Alex stared at the hologram. And you want me to find it? You're not just going to find it, Rylas said. You're going to activate it. He handed Alex a data chip. We ran the old blueprints through our systems. That weapon is locked with a genetic key. We scanned every human file we had. Only one match came back. You. Alex's mouth went dry. You're sure? Positive, Rylas said. We've put together a small team. You'll leave tonight. Alex looked at the hologram again. The Starling drifted silently in the dark, like a ghost waiting to wake up. The thought of boarding it sent a cold shiver down his spine. What about the rumors? He asked. The voices, the vanishings. Believe what you want, Rylas said. Just remember, the Varnock are closing in. We've got maybe weeks before they find this base. If we don't act now, there won't be anything left to save. Alex stood silent for a moment. Then he nodded. I'll go. That night, the team gathered at the launch bay. A small scout ship waited on the pad, engines humming low. Alex checked his gear, tools, oxygen mask, pulse rifle. He didn't know what he'd find out there, but he had to be ready for anything. The pilot, a young woman named Lyra, gave him a nod as he climbed aboard. The medic, Jonas, offered a quiet smile. Their tech specialist, Grant, barely looked up from his tablet. Still think this ship's haunted? Alex asked Grant as he strapped in. Grant shrugged. I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe in broken AIs, faulty systems, and long-dead crews that left surprises behind. Alex sat back as the engines roared. The ship lifted off, shaking slightly. Outside the window, the outpost grew smaller and smaller, swallowed by night. He thought of the people he was leaving behind. The children, the wounded, the fighters with nothing left to fight for. This was their last chance. He couldn't fail. The scout ship Raven moved silently through the stars. Space around it was quiet, too quiet. No signals, no beacons, just the endless stretch of darkness lit only by a dying red star far in the distance. Alex Voss stood in the cockpit, staring out the window. The Starling was still 10 minutes away, floating in the shadow of the old star. As they got closer, the size of the ship became clear. It was massive, easily 10 times bigger than the Raven. Its hull was blackened, burned from past battles. Some parts of it were broken and open to space. Others still looked untouched, as if the ship had been waiting. "There she is," Lyra said softly from the pilot's seat. "The ghost ship." Alex didn't respond. His eyes were locked on the shape ahead. Something about it felt wrong. It wasn't just the silence. It was the stillness. Like the ship wasn't drifting, but watching. Grant leaned over his console. No power readings. No movement. No sign of a crew. "Can we dock?" Alex asked. "Yeah," Lyra replied. The main hangar looked sealed but stable. "We'll hook into the emergency airlock." The ship groaned as the Raven moved closer. Docking clamps latched onto the Starling's outer hull with a heavy clang. "We're connected," Lyra said. "Suit up." Everyone put on light vacuum suits. Not full armor, just enough to survive in case the air wasn't breathable. They grabbed their gear, scanners, lights, sidearms. Alex stood by the airlock door. His heart beat faster now. This wasn't a story anymore. This was real. "Ready?" he asked. One by one, the crew gave him a nod. He hit the button. The door opened with a hiss. Inside was darkness. They stepped into the Starling. The hangar bay was huge and silent. Their boots echoed on the floor. Dust floated in the air, even though there was no wind. Abandoned crates sat in corners. A broken shuttle rested near the far wall. The lights were dead. Lyra activated her shoulder lamp, and the others followed. Beams of white light cut through the dark. The walls were scratched and dented. Some places had burn marks. Others had something stranger, like handprints smeared in black grease. "Still think this is just an old ship?" Lyra whispered. Grant scanned the area. No power, but the structure's solid. Gravity is stable. Oxygen level is low, but breathable. "Split up," Alex said. "Check systems, find the bridge, and stay on comms." The crew moved in pairs. Alex walked with Grant while Lyra and Jonas headed toward the engine corridor. The deeper Alex went, the colder the air felt. Not in temperature, but in feeling. The silence was thick. Every hallway looked the same. Steel walls, dark floors, flickering reflections in their helmets. The ship groaned every now and then, like something ancient stretching in its sleep. They reached a control room. Dust covered the consoles. Grant wiped it off and connected a data line to his wrist pad. "Trying to access logs," Grant said. "Might take a few minutes." Alex walked around the room. He saw an old photo frame lying face down on the floor. He picked it up and turned it over. It showed a crew of 12 smiling people. All human. All in uniform. None of them looked familiar. "Where are they now?" he muttered. Then the lights flickered. Only for a second, but enough to notice. "Did you see that?" Alex asked. Grant nodded. "Power surge. But nothing's running." Another flicker. This time, one of the screens lit up on its own. Static. Then a flash of movement. A video. Alex stepped closer. The screen showed the hangar bay. Same angle they had entered from. But it wasn't recent. It was old. In the video, crew members ran across the floor. Alarms flashed red. A voice screamed over the speakers. Then there was a bright flash. The feed went dead. "What the hell was that?" Alex whispered. Grant looked pale. "This isn't just stored footage. Something's playing it. Can you trace the source?" "Trying." The lights flickered again. Then they stayed on. Dim, flickering lights above them powered up, one row at a time, as if guiding them down the hallway. "Not creepy at all," Grant said. "Let's follow it," Alex said. "Maybe it leads to the bridge." They followed the lights through twisting halls. Every few meters, they passed signs of past life. Mugs still sitting on tables, jackets hanging on hooks, notes written on walls. It was like the crew had vanished in the middle of their day. Then the whispering started. It was faint, almost like the sound of wind. Alex stopped. "Did you hear that?" Grant looked around. "No." The whisper came again. Alex turned on his helmet recorder. Then they reached the bridge. The door opened slowly with a loud hiss. The bridge was wide, with a central chair and faded screens surrounding it. Windows looked out into space, showing the dead star burning faintly in the distance. Suddenly, the main console flickered on. A voice crackled through the speakers. "Alex Voss." Alex stepped back. "What?" "You have returned." The voice was metallic, but there was something human in it. "Tired. Sad. I've never been here before," Alex said quietly. "Not you," the voice replied. "But your blood. The key." Grant was frozen at the terminal. "Alex, the ship's AI is online. It knew your name before we connected anything. The lights dimmed. Shadows moved across the wall. Then one screen lit up with a face. A woman's face. She wore a captain's uniform. Her eyes were closed, and her image was still. You must finish what we started, the voice said again. Alex stared at the screen. His throat felt dry. What happened here? He asked. The voice replied with only one word. Sacrifice. And then, just as suddenly, all the lights went out. Total silence filled the bridge of the Starling. The screens were dark. The voice was gone. Only the sound of Alex's breathing inside his helmet reminded him he was still there, still alive. Grant stood beside him, eyes fixed on the black screen where the strange woman's face had vanished. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Alex said quietly, "Let's get the others." They turned and left the bridge, retracing their steps through the long steel corridors. Their flashlights barely cut through the thick shadows now pressing in from all sides. The air felt colder, heavier, like something was watching them. They met up with Lyra and Jonas near the engine bay. Both looked shaken. "We saw something," Lyra said before Alex could even speak. "A figure. In the hallway. It walked past us, but when we followed, it was gone." "Same here," Jonas added. Lights turning on by themselves. Doors closing. "This ship's not empty." Alex nodded. "It's the AI. It's still alive. And it's watching." He told them what happened on the bridge. About the voice that knew his name. About the face on the screen. And about the word it had said, sacrifice. The team fell silent again. Jonas finally spoke. "So what now?" "We find the weapon," Alex said firmly. "That's why we're here." Grant pulled up the old blueprints on his wrist pad. "There's a secure section below engineering. It was sealed even before the ship vanished. If anything dangerous is on board, it'll be down there." "Let's move," Alex said. They reached a locked blast door deep in the lower decks. A large sign was etched into the steel above it. Restricted access, Class 0 containment. The control panel beside the door was dark, but as soon as Alex stepped near it, the lights flickered on. A green circle pulsed on the screen. "Genetic match detected," the AI's voice said, softer now. "Alex Voss, access granted." With a slow, metallic groan, the blast door opened. Inside was a long chamber filled with silence. The walls were smooth and black. Strange symbols lined the floor. Soft lights lit the path ahead, one by one, as they stepped in. At the center of the room stood a tall cylindrical chamber. It hummed gently, glowing with a soft blue light. Wires ran from it into the floor. Inside it floated a large crystal-like core, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. The team stared at it in awe. "This is it," Grant whispered. "The weapon." Jonas stepped forward. "What kind of weapon is this?" Alex approached the cylinder. As he placed his hand on the glass, the AI spoke again. "This is the Hope engine." The lights around the room brightened slightly. The AI's voice grew clearer. "Created at the end of the First War. Powered by quantum memory, bonded to a living mind. One activation. One target. One chance. Why was it never used?" Lyra asked. The AI answered. "Because to use it, someone had to die." The crew looked at one another. "The weapon fuses with the user's mind," the AI continued. "Their thoughts become its command. Their life becomes its power source." Grant shook his head. "So it's not just a bomb. It's a living weapon." Alex stood still, staring at the glowing core. "That's why it's locked. That's why it needs someone like me." He turned to the others. "It's not haunted. The voices, the figures we saw, those were the minds of the last crew. They didn't run. They didn't vanish. They stayed. They became part of the ship." The AI confirmed his words. "We are the last guardians of the Hope engine. We gave our minds to protect it, until the right one came. And now?" Alex asked. "Now, the enemy returns. And you must choose." Suddenly, an alarm blared through the room. Red lights flashed. The crew looked up, alert. Grant checked his scanner. Incoming ship. Large. Jumped out of FTL, just beyond the red star. Lyra's face went pale. "It's the Varnock." Alex clenched his fists. "Threx." The AI spoke again, calm despite the alarm. "He has found us. You have little time." Alex turned to his team. "We're not leaving. Not yet. We finish this. But how do we activate it?" Jonas asked. The AI responded. "The weapon will accept only you, Alex Voss. But it must know you are ready. You must prove your will. Only then will the ship open the final path." "What does that mean?" Alex asked. "Face the truth," the AI said. as the floor beneath them rumbled. Face what we faced. Then you may decide. Before anyone could ask more, the lights shut off. The room went black. When the lights returned, Alex was alone. He stood in a hallway he didn't recognize. It looked like part of the Starling, but cleaner, newer. No dust. No damage. A voice echoed in his head. To carry hope, you must carry loss. Let us show you. A door opened at the end of the hallway. Inside, Alex saw something he hadn't seen in years. His sister. She stood smiling at him in a small kitchen from their childhood, before the war, before the Varnock attack that took her life. It wasn't real. He knew that, but it still felt real. Her voice, her laugh, her eyes. He couldn't speak, couldn't move. Then the memory shifted. Screams. Fire. Smoke. The scene blurred into the Varnock assault. The day he lost her. The AI whispered, "You lived?" She didn't. "You survived. Now you must choose what that means." Alex dropped to his knees. Not haunted, he realized. Not ghosts. These were the memories of those who gave everything. This ship had become a graveyard of minds, and now it was offering him the same choice. He closed his eyes. He knew what he had to do. He awoke on the floor of the chamber. The others stood over him. "Are you okay?" Lyra asked. Alex stood, breathing hard. He looked at the glowing weapon core. "I'm ready," he said. Warning lights pulsed through the hallways of the Starling. Red glows lit up the walls, casting eerie shadows across the metal surfaces. A deep alarm echoed throughout the ship, steady and slow, like a heartbeat counting down. Alex Voss stood in front of the Hope engine, his jaw tight, his thoughts racing. The vision had shaken him to his core, but it had also made something clear. This weapon wasn't just a machine. It was a promise, one made by those who had died protecting it, and now passed on to him. "Varnock's ship has entered close orbit," Lyra reported, her voice tense. She stared at the scanner on her wrist. "It's big. War-class destroyer. They know exactly where we are." "They must have tracked our jump," Grant said. "Or they've been looking for the Starling for years," Jonas added. Alex turned to face his crew. "How long before they dock?" 10 minutes, maybe less," Lyra said. "We can't outrun them. Not with the Raven still attached to the hangar." "Then we hold them off," Alex said. "By time. The weapon's not ready yet." Grant hesitated. "You said the AI needs you to prove you're ready. You did that. So why hasn't it activated the core?" Before Alex could answer, the AI's voice echoed from the walls again. "The path is open. But before you wield the engine, you must protect it. This is your final test." Alex understood. The AI didn't want someone willing to activate the weapon in safety. It wanted someone ready to defend it, to fight for it. Someone who would risk everything, like the crew before him. "Then we hold the line," he said. The team split up. Alex and Grant moved to the main entry hall, the route most likely to be used by boarding troops. Lyra stayed in the control chamber, managing cameras and doors through the ship's old systems. Jonas rigged traps and blockades along the hallways, using whatever was still functioning. "Enemy ship has docked," Lyra said through the comms. "They're cutting through the outer hatch now." Alex took position behind an overturned console, gripping his pulse rifle. Grant crouched beside him, eyes scanning the dim hallway. The ship groaned. Then came the sound of metal tearing. The door blew open with a loud bang. Smoke filled the hall. Figures in black armor moved in, tall, silent, and inhuman. "Varnock soldiers." "Hold," Alex shouted. He opened fire. The rifle kicked in his hands, bright bolts flashing down the hall. The Varnock returned fire, their weapons buzzing with sharp energy. The first wave hit hard. Alex ducked, fired again, and watched one Varnock fall. Grant's drone launched a small EMP grenade, shorting out 2 more. Behind them, doors slammed shut, Lyra's doing. "Sealed off Section 3, she said, slowing them down. Jonas's traps went off next. Explosions rocked the side corridor. Smoke and static flooded the view. But more Varnock kept coming. Alex's rifle overheated. He tossed it aside and pulled his sidearm. Another enemy charged at him, blade drawn. Alex barely dodged, firing 2 shots into its chest. The creature fell, twitching. "We won't hold them for long," Grant shouted. "They're pushing toward the core." Alex grabbed his comm. "Lyra, open a path to the core. We fall back now." The crew regrouped at the Hope engine chamber. The weapon glowed brighter now, pulsing in time with the ship's warning systems. "They're behind us," Lyra said, panting. We won't be able to hold them off again. Alex walked toward the core. The AI's voice returned, calmer now. You have defended us. You have stood where others fell. Now, the final key is yours. The chamber lit up. Panels slid open, revealing a control interface. A small pedestal rose from the floor, waiting for Alex's hand. He looked at his crew, at Lyra, Grant, and Jonas. Friends he had come to trust in just a few days. People who had risked everything for this mission. You sure about this? Lyra asked softly. Alex nodded. This weapon was built to stop them. If I don't use it now, none of us make it out. He stepped forward and placed his hand on the pedestal. The ship trembled. The core lit up, brighter than ever. A wave of energy surged through the chamber. The floor shook beneath their feet. Lights across the ship flared to life. Outside, the Varnock boarding party paused. Their sensors lit up. Their communications burst with static. Then the ship spoke again. Hope engine online. Target confirmed. Final authorization received. Alex heard the voice inside his mind now, not just through the ship. Do you wish to activate? It asked him directly. He thought of Earth, of the colonies, of the war, of his sister, of all they had lost. Yes, he whispered. Then hold steady, the voice replied. And aim true. Back on the bridge, the AI pulled power from every system. Lights shut down. Shields dropped. Engines went silent. The entire ship became a weapon. The Hope engine released its charge. A brilliant pulse of light burst from the Starling, flooding space in all directions. The Varnock warship, only a few kilometers away, glowed for 1 second. Then it vanished in a flash of white. Silence returned. The ship powered down slowly. The lights returned to normal. The engine dimmed. Alex collapsed to one knee, exhausted but alive. The voice returned one final time. You have passed the trial. The path is yours now. His team ran to him, helping him stand. It worked, Grant said, shocked. The Varnock ship is gone, Lyra confirmed. Completely gone. Jonas looked around, stunned. Then we won. Alex nodded, breathing hard. We won the first battle, he said. Now we have a chance to win the war. The Starling was silent again. After the Hope engine fired, the lights across the ship dimmed to a soft, steady glow. The halls no longer flickered. The strange whispers were gone. For the first time since they boarded, the ship felt calm. Peaceful even. But the crew wasn't celebrating. Alex Voss sat on the floor of the core chamber, his back against the wall. His chest rose and fell with slow, deep breaths. The weapon had drained him. Not just his energy, but something deeper. Using the Hope engine had felt like opening his mind to something ancient, powerful, and impossible to fully control. Even now, echoes of distant voices drifted in and out of his thoughts, faint, like memories from another life. Lyra checked the scanners again. The Varnock ship is gone. Vaporized. No sign of any others nearby, Jonas added. We bought ourselves time. Grant was at the console, trying to stabilize the ship's power grid. The Hope engine took almost everything to fire. Systems are shaky. One more shot like that, and this ship might tear itself apart. Alex pushed himself to his feet. His body ached, but he stood tall. We don't need another shot, he said. That was enough to send a message. He walked over to the core. The glowing light inside was softer now, more stable. The pedestal had lowered, hidden once again in the floor. Then the AI's voice returned. You have awakened the engine, Alex Voss. But the Varnock will not stop. They will come again. Alex nodded. Let them come. We'll be ready. Before the AI could reply, the ship shook. A low rumble passed through the hull. Lights flickered. Was that? Grant looked at the ceiling. Another jump? Jonas checked the readings. His eyes widened. We've got another Varnock ship incoming. Smaller, but armed. Lyra frowned. Wait, this one isn't like the last. It's not holding distance. It's heading straight for us. Another alarm blared. The docking alert flashed red. They're trying to board again. Lyra shouted. Directly through the main bay. Alex grabbed his rifle. They're not wasting time this time. They know we have the weapon now, and they'll send someone to finish the job. As if in answer, the AI spoke again. He is here. The room went quiet. Alex knew who the AI meant. Commander Threx. The crew rushed through the corridors. Doors opened ahead of them, lit by emergency lights. The ship guided them like a living thing, helping them move faster. They reached the hangar bay just as the blast door blew open. Smoke filled the air, and through it stepped a tall, armored figure, twice the size of a human. His armor was black and silver, sharp and smooth like bone. Two burning eyes glowed beneath his helmet. Commander Threx. The Varnock leader didn't raise a weapon. He didn't speak. He simply walked forward with slow, steady steps. Alex stepped out to face him. "You're too late," he said. "Your ship is gone. The Hope engine is online." Threx tilted his head slightly. His voice, when it came, was deep and cold. "One weapon. One spark. But it changes nothing." He raised his hand. A pulse of energy shot toward Alex. Alex rolled aside, the blast slamming into a crate behind him. Lyra and Jonas opened fire. Bright bolts lit up the room, striking Threx's armor, but he didn't stop. He moved fast, faster than anyone in armor that size should. He slammed into Jonas, throwing him back. Lyra dodged, ducking behind cover. Grant launched another EMP charge. It hit the floor near Threx and exploded in a flash of blue light. For a moment, Threx staggered. Alex moved. He ran forward, sliding under debris and grabbing a fallen weapon. He fired 3 quick shots. 2 missed. 1 hit Threx in the chest. It barely slowed him. The alien leader raised his hand again. Another blast. Alex jumped behind a pillar, just as the energy scorched the wall behind him. "We can't beat him head-on," Grant shouted. "His suit's too strong." Alex gritted his teeth. "We don't need to beat him. We just need to trap him." He looked up. The ceiling, there were maintenance shafts above, and the ship still had control of some systems. "Lyra, open hatch panel 5B." Alex shouted. The ceiling opened. A line of exposed cables and coolant pipes hung overhead. "Grant, EMP launcher. Aim for the ceiling." Grant adjusted his drone and fired. The blast hit the cables. They snapped loose, sparking as they fell. Coolant sprayed down in a cold mist, covering Threx. Then Alex fired again, straight into the mist. This time, the shot struck home. The cold had weakened Threx's armor, and the energy bolt pierced it. Threx staggered. For the first time, he looked surprised. Alex stepped forward. "You think we're weak. But we don't run. We don't hide. We fight." He fired one last shot. Threx fell. The alien leader hit the floor with a heavy crash. His helmet cracked. One eye flickered and went dark. Silence fell over the hangar. Jonas pulled himself up, bruised but alive. Lyra walked slowly to Alex's side. Grant scanned the body. "He's down," he confirmed. "Really down." Alex stood over the fallen commander. "It's done," he said. Back in the core chamber, the AI spoke again. "The enemy is gone. The weapon is safe. The choice is now yours, Alex Voss." Alex looked at the pulsing energy of the Hope engine. He knew what it was now, what it meant, what it could do. It wasn't just a bomb. It wasn't just a shield. It was a symbol. Hope. For the first time in decades, humanity had a weapon the Varnock couldn't match. But more than that, it had a reason to believe. Alex turned to his team. "We take it home," he said. "We show the galaxy that the Starling still flies." They nodded. Outside, the last pieces of Threx's ship drifted into space. The stars stretched wide and silent, waiting for what would come next. The Hope engine pulsed once more, calm, steady, alive. The Starling floated in the stillness of space, quiet but alive. Its engines were cold, and most systems were running on minimal power. Yet, deep within its metal heart, the Hope engine pulsed steadily, stronger than before, glowing with soft, blue light. It was no longer silent. It had found its pilot. It had fulfilled its purpose. Alex Voss stood in the command chamber, staring out the wide front window of the bridge. The stars stretched endlessly before him, the dying red star now far behind. The battle was over. Commander Threx was gone, his warship destroyed. But the victory didn't feel like celebration. It felt like breathing after nearly drowning. Behind Alex, the crew moved quietly. Lyra was checking the navigation console, manually plotting a course. Grant was restoring life support to the upper decks. Jonas leaned against the wall, bandaged and tired but alive. No one said much. The silence wasn't from fear or tension anymore. It was peace. Alex looked down at the control panel in front of him. The ship's systems slowly flickered back to life. He rested his hand on the console, and the ship responded with a soft chime. The AI spoke gently. "You have done what we could not. You have carried our memory. You have given us rest." Alex nodded slowly. "And now it's our turn to carry the future." The ship was no longer haunted. The voices, the whispers, the flickers in the dark, They were the final echoes of the crew who had given their minds to protect the Hope engine. With the threat gone and the mission complete, they had finally gone quiet. But their sacrifice remained. In the steel walls, in the engine's glow, in the knowledge that they had protected the last hope of humanity until the right person arrived. Alex would not let them be forgotten. Hours later, the Starling entered the outer edge of human space. A communication beacon crackled on the screen. Unidentified vessel. This is Colony Arc 7. Please identify. Lyra smiled as she leaned over to answer. This is Captain Alex Voss of the Starling. We're coming home. There was a long pause on the other end. Then came a stunned voice. Say again? Did you say? Starling. Yes, Alex said. And we're bringing something with us. Word spread quickly. The Starling had returned. The legendary warship. The ghost ship. Alive. Real. When they landed on Arc 7, crowds gathered. Not in fear, but in awe. Engineers, soldiers, survivors. People of all kinds stood in silence as the long-lost ship descended. Alex stepped out first. He didn't wear a commander's uniform. He wasn't a war hero. He was just a pilot, a mechanic, someone who had been called to do something greater and had answered that call. Behind him, the crew followed. Lyra, Grant, Jonas, tired but proud. The Council of Colonies met with them the next day. Alex explained everything, the weapon, the AI, Threx's defeat. He showed them the data logs, the system readouts, and the blueprint of the Hope engine. At first, some doubted. Some feared. But then came the message, the final one left by the original crew of the Starling, stored deep in the AI's memory. A farewell. It played for the Council. A hologram of the captain stood, eyes calm, voice steady. If this message is playing, then we are gone. But we are not lost. We gave everything so this ship could carry hope forward. If you hear this, it's in your hands now. Not to destroy, but to protect. Not to rule, but to survive. Make it count. No one in the room spoke for a long time. And then, something changed. For the first time in years, humanity began to unite. Colonies sent messages to each other, offering help. Engineers began studying the Hope engine's data, searching for ways to rebuild, not to create weapons of destruction, but a defense powerful enough to stop the Varnock forever. People stopped whispering in fear. They started talking about rebuilding, about fighting back, about winning. Weeks later, Alex stood once more in the Starling's hangar. Crews were walking the decks now, installing new equipment, running fresh power lines. The ship groaned and hummed, not with ghosts, but with life. Jonas stood beside him, arms crossed. Never thought I'd see this thing come back to life. Lyra approached, tablet in hand. Scanners show no Varnock activity nearby. Looks like they're pulling back, at least for now. Give them time, Grant said, stepping up behind her. They'll come again. But next time, we'll be ready. Alex nodded slowly. We have the Starling. We have the engine. And we have each other. They stood in silence a moment longer, looking up at the massive ship. It was no longer a haunted relic. It was a symbol of sacrifice, of courage, of hope. Alex turned to his crew. Let's take her back into the stars. And with that, the Starling rose once more. Not as a ghost ship, but as the last light of a galaxy learning how to fight again.